The Lakers have an early season test to find out how good they really are without LeBron. They're in Oklahoma City tonight to take on the defending NBA champions. OKC has the NBA's best record at 11-1, and they're 5-0 at home. At 8-3, the Lakers have the third best record in the Western Conference. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Clippers are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins is using some of her NIL money to invest in Boston Legacy FC, a new franchise in the National Women's Soccer League, a pro league with 16 teams around the U.S. Watkins, a junior from Compton, is sitting out this season to recover from a knee injury. Watkins' NIL revenue reportedly is $765,000. She has endorsement deals with Nike, United Airlines, Fanatics, Ritz Crackers, and Degree Underarm Deodorant. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA For all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, India Walton, noted progressive activist and senior strategist at the Roots Action Education Fund, on whether the Mandama election victory in New York City can, in fact, power a progressive surge in 2026. In our third hour, Cornell University scholar, managing editor of the Nuclear Times, and executive director of the Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility, will reflect on the new Netflix doc, House of Dynamite, and his work at the intersection of race and nuclear weapons. His name is Vincent Intondi, and we'll do that in hour 3. But in this first hour, let's talk politics and more with USA Today opinion columnist and host of the radio program, The Reconstruction Project, John Wood Jr. Before I get to John Wood Jr., two things right quick. One, in a moment, I'll share with you an update on our campaign here in Southern California against Southern California Edison. You've been tracking that across the nation. I'll update you on that. The president and CEO of Edison International finally showed up yesterday. His name is Pedro Pizarro. You know that. You've been hearing about it on the station, on this program, I should say. So I'll update you on the communication from him directly yesterday, a little bit later in this hour, but there is breaking news we want to get to right away at the outset of today's program. Here is a couple of days ago, the Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about this Epstein situation, and I'm sure by now you've all heard the news. Emails have been released today that connect Donald Trump directly to Jeffrey Epstein and what Donald Trump knew. I'm going to read some of those emails to you as reported in the New York Times and everywhere else right about now. I'll read some of those emails, but Democrats have made the link directly between Trump and Epstein with regard to these underage girls. I'll read the emails for you in a second, but just to frame this properly, here's Hakeem Jeffries a couple of days ago talking about this particular issue.
The Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
Did you have, I was talking to John Wood Jr., who had me distracted. Is being sworn in today. So today, later today in Washington, this representative out of Arizona, Grijalva, Adelita is her first name, will in fact be sworn in. So that's going down today. So the 218th vote is there now for all this stuff to be voted on the House floor with regard to the Epstein files and to be released. Let me just give you, where my notes at here? Let me give you a bit of the storyline about these emails that have come out today, and then I'll, when we come forward, I'll let John Wood Jr. opine as he will, and we'll get this party started for real, for real. So I'm reading now from the New York Times. Here's their headline out now. Epstein alleged in emails that Trump knew of his conduct. In a message obtained by Congress, the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein wrote that Donald J. Trump spent hours at his house with one of Mr. Epstein's victims. He spent hours at my house. Quote, wrote Epstein in one of these emails, hours at my house with one of the victims. That's Epstein in these emails. In another email from April 2011, Epstein told Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, his colleague who's now spending, 20 years in prison for her involvement in securing these young girls for him at these events and parties at his house. She, again, is in prison right now. We're told that she's been teeing up an invitation, a request rather, to Donald Trump to pardon her, to commute her sentence. I don't know how Donald Trump commutes her sentence now, but we're told that commutation letter, that request is on tap even as we speak. And maybe he will, because if she gets commuted, she may not be singing like Aretha Franklin when she gets out about what she really knows. But according to this email from April 2011, he's communicating, Epstein is, with Ms. Maxwell, who again was later convicted on charges relating to facilitating these crimes. I quote from Epstein's email, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump." He goes on to say again, he spent hours at my house. I spent hours at my house with him, and he has never once mentioned it. I spent hours at my house with him. He's never once mentioned it. Maxwell writes back, "I've been thinking about that." That's her response in that email. "I've been thinking about that." And there are more emails. I don't have time to run through all of them. I'll tell you, I'll give you one more when we come forward here. One more email that I will read when we come forward, and I'll let John Wood Jr. Commence this conversation, talking about this breaking news today. Many of us have been mad at Democrats the last couple of days for deflecting and for deflecting on the one hand the real issues and defecting on the other hand. So we've been in our feelings about that. But today, Democrats are running the narrative on Donald Trump, and he is up against the wall. The White House, at this hour at least, has had nothing to say about this. I guess they're trying to figure out how to respond to this mess. But these emails are linking Donald Trump directly to Epstein in his house, apparently with victims, or at least a victim. And Representative Gravalia is being sworn in today, so there is your 218th vote. It's about to get funky for Donald J. Trump. Just getting started here on Tavis Smiley.
2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-260-3330. That's 800-260-3330. Find out if you qualify today, 800-260-3330, or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistent scent, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAJOR25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with John Wood Jr., my colleague, host of the Reconstruction Project radio program, opinion columnist for USA Today. Always pleased to have him in studio. So I no sooner than I said it, the White House put a statement out. Let me read you the statement now from the White House about this damning news about these emails linking Donald Trump The unnamed victim referenced in these emails is the late Virginia, I can never pronounce her last name, Giuffre, Giuffre, Joffrey, I can never pronounce it correctly, thank you. Virginia Joffrey, who repeatedly said President Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever and couldn't have been friendlier to her in their limited interactions. I repeat once again, this is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump. The unnamed victim referenced in these emails is the late Virginia Joffrey, who repeatedly said President Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever and couldn't have been friendlier to her in their limited interactions. That's the quote from Caroline Leavitt. So there's the story, at least in top line form. John Wood Jr., take it away.
Well, if it were anybody other than Donald Trump who had sort of direct testimonial evidence from the perpetrator in question, Mr. Epstein, linking him for such prolonged periods of time in interaction with a woman who is identified as one of his victims, I think that would be more than enough to have hung, let's say, Bill Clinton in the court of public opinion in the sort of conversation that we're having today. I mean, I zoom out and look at a larger body of connections. One of my favorite little wrinkles in all of this was that birthday card that President Trump wrote or allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, in which he makes some sort of, some lewd insinuations and then signs his name across the shape of a woman's form in a way that's meant to evoke pubic hair, right? And I love this little wrinkle because Donald Trump's response to that was that this letter was fake because he does not doodle. And the very next thing you see is that Donald Trump has got a long public history of being a prolific doodler. As it turns out, that's just one of the things he does. The man's got a million doodles that you can find in different places. So it's just to say that it's hard to ascribe much credibility necessarily to President Trump's response to this. But the thing that's interesting to me is just the degree to which it's understandable, but it's very difficult for people who have wanted to see the best in President Trump to be able to hold him to the same standard that you might hold another public figure to. And yet there are many people within the base of Donald Trump's constituency who really do care about this issue. And so from a strategic vantage point, it makes all the sense in the world for Democrats to push the storyline for the administration to run away from it.
So the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt can say all day long that the Democrats selectively leaked these emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump. She can say that all day long till she's blue in the face. And yet your point is especially key for me, and that is what his base is going to think of this. As you know, there's been a divide in this base.
Right.
Tucker Carlson, who is his boy, who sat next to him every night at the Republican convention in Milwaukee. We know that relationship. Yeah. Tucker Carlson has been on the other side of this issue. Well, now we see why. And this ain't rocket science. You had to know that there were these smoking guns because Trump tried to shut this thing down.
Well, remember, none other than Elon Musk made this statement at the period of time when him and Trump were beefing as hard as they were.
When they were squabbling up.
He apologized for that, but he said it straight up. He said the reason he's not releasing the files is because he's in them.
He's in them. Okay, so now we know he is. I mean, again, we knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. Here again, why they didn't want to seat Representative Gavallia to be that 218th vote to push this stuff out to all of us in greater detail. But circling back to your point about the base, because again, a significant piece of the MAGA base has, to use the word wrinkle earlier, there's been a wrinkle in that relationship with Donald Trump over this particular issue because they want this stuff out. And the base, just to be clear, the base wanted it out because they thought a bunch of Democrats would be named in this process. Donald Trump knew he was in these emails, right? As you recall, he'd seen the files. He said, I've seen them. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here is what he essentially told us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long way of asking how the base is going to respond to this news today of these emails coming out. And once Gravalia is seated, we're going to get more of this stuff coming out. How's his base, that MAGA base, going to respond to this?
Well, I suspect that there's going to be a split. I suspect that you're going to have some people who are going to look at this and say, well, look, you can't trust anything Jeffrey Epstein says. And by the way, I mean, we shouldn't just take anything Jeffrey Epstein says as at face value, because we understand who he was and what his reputation was. It's interesting, of course, to note the timing of some of these emails, because one of the emails in which he talks about Trump spending, I think, that degree of time with a given individual dates back to well before the advent of Trump's political ambitions. So it's, you factor that in on the level of incentive. Nevertheless, you're going to have some people who want to just look right past this issue and say, well, let's just continue the political mission and, do what Donald Trump wants us to do, which is to treat this as a side story and a distraction. And then you're going to have other people in Trump's base who, I think honorably, are going to say, you know what, we don't want any of these insinuations about President Trump to be true, but we value the truth more than loyalty to the president or a politician. And really, you really did have very many people in his base making exactly that sort of statement, even as the influencer community in general tried to sort of circle the wagons and extinguish the fire that they themselves lit in terms of people's desires to see more transparency along the Epstein files emerge among Trump's core voters. So you're going to have a split, and that split has, and I think will continue to undermine the sort of unity of the right in a moment where that's a little bit fractious and delicate for a number of reasons, as you've got these new splits emerging.
So you heard Hakeem Jeffries on that tape that we played a moment ago say that the White House is running a pedophile protection program. That's Hakeem Jeffries. The White House has been running, is in fact running a pedophile protection program. I come back to that because so much of that MAGA base is the Christian right. Now, I've seen the Christian right twist themselves like a pretzel to justify Donald Trump's behavior in a variety of facets and on a variety of fronts. Right. Going to frame, how's Paula White and Franklin Graham and the Christian right, how are they going to frame this? How are they going to spin this?
Well, there may be a spectrum, but I think among many of the prominent folks you might think of, there's going to be an instinct to deflect, minimize, or ignore. I mean, it's a deeply uncomfortable dynamic, you might say. And yeah, I mean, but of course, at this point, I think that the internal agreement to sort of look past certain matters of character in the interests of advancing a political program tied to the interest or the perceived interest of Christianity in America, that pact is firmly in place, right, at this point. So, I mean, if the question is, are these most recent revelations sufficient to dislodge that understanding, that agreement? Probably not. You probably need a Polaroid, shot or a real time. I mean, even then, you could just say it's AI or whatnot. And look, I'm not here convicting Donald Trump of one thing or the other. The one thing I am simply noting is that there is obviously material there that is worthy of conversation, given the fact that Trump himself and so many others have said up and before now that we should have justice and transparency related to Jeffrey Epstein, and yet the desire to linger in a transparent fashion on some of this material is clearly no longer there now that it's sort of touching on the president directly. And so the question just becomes, to what degree do we hold to our own standards as Republicans and as conservatives and as Americans on this and any other issue?
Now that we know how the White House intends to respond to this, given the statement that I've read, and again, in case you've just tuned in, I read it one more time. The Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump. The unnamed victim referenced in these emails is the late Virginia Joffrey, who repeatedly said President Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever and couldn't have been friendlier to her in their limited interactions, close quote. That's from Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. So the other part of this email, this response that I want to seize on right quick here, is the fact that when she says the unnamed victim referenced in these emails is the late Virginia Giuffre. She is, in fact, deceased. And I wonder what kind of leverage, what kind of mileage, is probably a better word, the White House can get out of the fact that you put Jeffrey Epstein's word up against Virginia Giuffre's word, and now that she's dead, she can't really speak. So that, to your point, how much stock can you put in any email from a guy who we know was, in fact, himself a pedophile?
Yeah.
My question is, can the White House successfully hide behind this unliving person?
Well, I mean, I think that it's interesting because there's enough there and not enough there for each side of the political sort of conversation to be able to make the point that they want to make. Because I think that from a suspicious side, you can that, well, she may have said, right? And so, I mean, so, for instance, Ghislaine Maxwell said that Trump was nothing but a gentleman in all of the encounters she observed. But Trump was also her only ticket to freedom.
And please commute my sentence. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so, her the interest there, the motive there to paint a favorable light is pretty clear. And yet, that more recent tone is a little bit in odds with the tone of her and Epstein's email communications as released here, because she says in her response, because Epstein talks about how many hours Trump spent at his place and that he knew about all this, and she says that I've been thinking about that, right? So why are you thinking about that unless it's a significant thing in your view, Ghislaine Maxwell, right? But on the other hand, Giuffre did make those statements. John Wood Jr. I certainly don't know what. If there was or was not pressure brought to I don't know. So I rendered no judgment on that whatsoever. But it does allow the Trump administration to say, well, between that and the fact that you can't trust anything Epstein has to say in the first place, you should trust what we have to say when we tell you that there's no there there. So each side gets to push its line.
So when we come forward, I want to ask John Wood Jr. this question about this breaking news, again, in case you've just tuned in. It is the story of the day. Jeffrey Epstein alleged in emails that Donald Trump knew of his conduct and indeed spent hours at his house with one of Mr. Epstein's victims. And there are a number of emails to sort of back that up. I read a couple of them for you already. I'm going to read, I promised one more I was going to read. I didn't get to it. I promise when we come forward. I'll read one more email where he's in conversation. Epstein is with Michael Wolff, an author, best-selling author, and they had an interesting email exchange about Donald Trump. I want to read that email when we come forward. But I also want to ask John Wood Jr. when we come forward whether or not at this point there's any chance that Donald Trump will in fact commute the sentence of Ms. Maxwell. Now, stranger things have happened. I mean, this guy just the other day, pardoned everybody, Giuliani and everybody else involved in trying to overthrow the government, and they all got pardoned. So, Jeffrey Epstein's crimes are pretty horrific, no question about it. But these persons were involved in trying to literally overthrow the government, and Donald Trump pardoned all of them. So with Donald Trump, nothing is ever outside the realm of possibility or potentiality. Even at this hour, the optics on this would be horrible. That in this moment, as John Wood Jr. and I were just laughing about, essentially, you commute the sentence of Ms. Maxwell? So is that even possible? Again, this is a question I wouldn't be asking, but for the conversation about this guy named Donald J. Trump, who is capable of doing anything. So we'll do that and a great deal more. I'll update you on the Pedro Pizarro matter, Southern California Edison, here in Southern California, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
In a Fox News interview, Trump also blasted ICE chaos, criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom, and defended plans for a White House ballroom. New York City Mayor Eric Adams Israel Friday to meet officials and tech leaders focusing. He returns Tuesday and says he plans to write a book, work on a documentary, and pursue a doctorate after leaving office. And Sean Diddy Combs has entered a drug rehab program at Fort Dix Prison in New Jersey, which could cut a year off his sentence. Combs is serving over 4 years for a prostitution-related conviction. His lawyers say he battled addiction for years. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Families have been loving LifeSource Whole House Water Systems for over 40 years. And now when you buy LifeSource, you can save up to $1,000 with the no sales tax special. Call 800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com. And soon, warranty limitations apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers have an early season test to find out how good they really are without LeBron. They're in Oklahoma City tonight to take on the defending NBA champions. OKC has the NBA's best record at 11-1, and they're 5-0 at home. At 8-3, the Lakers have the third best record in the Western Conference. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Clippers are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins is using some of her NIL money to invest in Boston Legacy FC, a new franchise in the National Women's Soccer League, a pro league with 16 teams around the U.S. Watkins, a junior from Compton, is sitting out this season to recover from a knee injury. Watkins' NIL revenue reportedly is $765,000. She has endorsement deals with Nike, United Airlines, Fanatics, Ritz Crackers, and Degree Underarm Deodorant. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and John Wood Jr. as we are discussing the breaking news of the day. Jeffrey Epstein alleged in emails that Donald Trump knew of his conduct in messages obtained by Congress. The convicted and now deceased sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, wrote that Donald J. Trump spent hours at his house with one of Mr. Epstein's victims, and there are a lot of emails connected to that. I promised to read one additional email right quick. I will. This is an email exchange with Michael Wolff, best-selling author. Wolff says to Epstein, I hear CNN, this is about one of the presidential debates, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. This is Wolff writing to Epstein. I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. Epstein writes back to Wolff, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? This is Epstein responding to Wolff. If we were able to craft an answer for him, for Trump that is, what do you think it should be? Wolff writes back to Epstein, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. I think Michael Wolff has a whole lot of questions to answer himself in the days ahead about why he's advising Jeffrey Epstein and giving Jeffrey Epstein is in some hot water himself today. Now that these emails are out, I've met Michael Wolff a couple of times. I think I've interviewed once or twice in my career. But Michael Wolff has some answers.
Some splaining.
He got some splaining to himself. Yeah. So I am not envying the shoes that Michael Wolff, with all the books that he sold and all the millions he's made, he got some questions to answer today. That's the other email I promised that I would read. Now, back to Ms. Maxwell and her letter or her request for commutation that we are told by the media has already been teed up. In this moment, what are the optics, and I'll ask it this way, what are the optics, one way or the other, on Trump agreeing to commute the sentence of Ms. Maxwell? And again, one could say, oh, he'd never do that at this point. Well, look at all the other stuff he's done that we thought he would never do. I yield to the gentleman from the Reconstruction Project, John Wood Jr.
Well, I absolutely do not think that Donald Trump would dare pardon Ghislaine Maxwell before the midterm.
Before the
midterm. He
pauses. Before the midterm. Yeah.
After the midterm, who is to say, I mean, I think that they understand that, whatever the truth is or isn't ultimately, Ghislaine Maxwell is a tarnished asset. Right, we know that she is in the interest of her own survival, really, her own liberty, her own freedom, right? And so she is open for business again, whatever the truth may be. But I think the American people understand that, and so there's probably a limit to the gains to be had in whatever story she tells. But that doesn't mean that they still don't have an interest in having her tell the best possible story. In terms of recounting the circumstances of Trump and Epstein's relationship. And so, depending on how they weight the value of that story from a PR vantage point, they got to give her, something. I mean, that's what you would think in the transaction. By the way, listening to those Wolf emails, one is just struck by the transactionalism.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
transactionalism, man, between, friends, air quote, Epstein, Trump, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just outside looking in, I don't think it's impossible. I think that all of these things come down to raw calculations. And, President Trump takes a sober view of his own interests, if nothing else. But it is a thing to be weighed. I think that, however, any and all political impulses are liberated in the aftermath of a successful election, and in the context of a man who's not technically, constitutionally, supposed to be up for re-election in the next go-round. And so that unties the hands to do any number of things, potentially.
On any given day, when I sit in this chair, I find myself, wittingly or unwittingly, or I should say willingly or unwillingly, I find myself engaged in conversations about Donald Trump that I would prefer not to be in. He does this to me almost every day, right? But never in the 30-plus year history of my media career, or for that matter, dating back to the presidency and George Washington, have we ever been in a conversation like this about a president as pedophile? Conversations about Donald Trump that we've never had about any president prior to. But the pedophile conversation, I go back to Hakeem Jeffries, that the White House is running a pedophile protection program. You and I both know, everybody in this audience knows, that there are two persons who are most vulnerable when they go to prison in this country.
Yeah, right.
Pedophiles and police. If you're a police, they after you, because these prisoners have been subjected to, many of them being maltreated by the police.
Yeah.
So police are in trouble when they go to prison, and pedophiles are in trouble when they go to prison. That's in prison.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about the White House. So just talk to me about how you're processing in this moment. And again, this conversation has been ginning up as it for months now. But here we are at the moment of truth, where the emails are coming out, and we are literally talking, John Wood Jr., about the president as a pedophile.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is a surreal situation. I mean, I will remind us, of course, that back in the 90s, there was obviously ample talk about the infidelity of Bill Clinton, but there were also rumors, even in the direction of Clinton having underage relationships. And you may remember that movie, I forget who made it, but that movie where John Travolta basically plays Bill Clinton and portrays sort of a relationship along those lines. But I guess that the difference then as to now is that what you didn't have was the high-profile arrest, what would have likely been conviction, and then suicide/assassination, do we know, of Jeffrey Epstein, right? And then this sort of tangible trail of interaction and correspondence, and also just video of the two partying together and so forth at Mar-a-Lago that sort of links Trump and Epstein in all these different ways. And, of course, we already have a well-documented sort of life's history of adventurism, of President Trump, in his own personal life, dealings with women, many accusations of coercion, various things that are not above board. And so it is surreal in that way. But of course, I think that the larger climate of sensationalism that we reside in American politics today, with social media and just the inability to absorb all of this sort of content and so forth, makes it to where it's hard for anything to stick with the moral gravity that might have been the case in previous eras, when we could focus on one thing or another, and when standards were sort of put forward as generally sort of universal and broadly shared. These days, it sort of seems like the more extreme the statement, the more some people at least are inclined to say, well, that's just a part of the noise, and to not look seriously at it. And I hate to say it, and again, without rendering a judgment as to what's true or false with respect to Trump's particular activities, as a general principle, that kind of environment gives malfeasance, quite a bit of space to hide in plain sight.
Yep. The movie you're looking for is Primary Colors.
Right, right. Primary Colors.
Remember that movie very well.
Yeah,
Primary Colors, where Travolta plays Bill Clinton.
Right.
But to your point about Clinton, I want to be abundantly clear about this. Those rumors are rumors.
Yeah.
And there's a distinct difference between rumors and facts. We ain't talking about rumors with Donald Trump now.
Well, what is certainly not a rumor with respect to Trump is the fact that he had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. They colored, right, by their mutual interest in women and, let's say, young women, insofar as Donald Trump said of Jeffrey Epstein, he likes women maybe as much as I do, and he looks like he likes them young, right? And so those things are not rumor or speculation. Those things, the dynamics of that relationship to that extent are factual. Right? And so,
I take your point. If you're going to believe Jeffrey Epstein's emails about Trump, you got to believe him about Clinton. I mean, I take your point.
Yeah.
He said things about both of them. The difference I'm underscoring 18 times, and Bill Clinton clearly was compromised and contaminated in his own way. So anybody acting like Clinton is a saint. But there are no facts. There are no facts, John Wood Jr., at this hour that Bill Clinton was ever engaged in any illegal activity with underage girls. If these emails are to be believed about Donald Trump, there seems now to be a smoking gun here. I just want to make that distinction. But I take your point. More of John Wood Jr. when we come forward here on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsor.
Hit fast. Speaking of fast, did you just see that play? Yeah, he vaporized that ball. That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You're on D with John Wood Jr. I want to just read one. Got so many comments coming in. I want to just read one comment right quick. And this really dovetails nicely into what John and I were talking about during the break here in studio. Tavis, nothing against Teflon Don will stick with his base. Maybe if there were video or photos, but nothing will stick. They aren't even blaming him for the ACA increases. So that's what you and I were just talking about during the break here, whether or not any of this, as ugly as this is, again, Hakeem Jeffries calling the White House, saying the White House is engaged in a pedophile protection program. It sounds horrible. Nobody wants to harbor pedophiles anywhere, much less not even in prison, much less in the White House. And yet, the question, is relevant. Will any of this matter to his base?
Yeah.
Even babies.
Well, in the realm of building successful political coalitions in highly polarized environments, what becomes important is maintaining maximum unity among your core supporters and then building from there. I wouldn't expect most of the president's supporters and base constituents to turn on him, but some portion of that constituency actually already has. I mean, if you hang out on the X threads and so forth, I mean, you will find real pockets of activists and folks within the Trump coalition who really did sort of throw in the towel on Trump on this particular issue. They show up in every thread and so forth, saying, "Hey, yeah, great about Israel. Where are the Epstein files?" and so forth. So the question becomes, in a moment when Ben Shapiro is arm wrestling with Tucker Carlson, in a moment where Candace Owens is going rogue, and the party and the MAGA movement is sort of split to a certain degree over Israel and Netanyahu and all the rest of it.
Right.
If the Epstein accusations aren't sticky enough to dislodge just enough of that constituency to make it a real political concern for the president, just on the basis of that being a crack in the cornerstone, even if it's not a shattering of the wall, but if it's a crack in the cornerstone, going into a midterm cycle where maybe the redistricting play in Texas will strengthen the Republicans' hand overall, or maybe Newsom and us, here in California, set in place a bit of a chain reaction that makes the redistricting shake out in a different sort of way. It's possible that there might be some real cause for concern in the White House over how things play in the upcoming November elections next year.
We'll leave it there. John Wood Jr. mentioned Israel. There is other breaking news today. This is Donald Trump's way of, flooding the zone, trying to change the news narrative. And so the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, to consider granting a pardon to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu facing a long-running corruption trial himself, and Trump has repeatedly asked for a pardon for his close ally. Netanyahu has denied the charges, but here Donald Trump is now sticking his nose in Israel's business, speaking of Israel, requesting the president there to pardon Benjamin Netanyahu. So here again, Donald Trump trying to flood the zone, change the narrative, but ain't nothing turning the narrative right now. From this Jeffrey Epstein story. Again, Epstein alleges in emails that Donald Trump knew of his conduct and spent hours at his house with one of Mr. Epstein's victims. John Wood Jr., thanks for your insight. Good to see you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, brother.
When we come forward in our remaining moments in this hour, I'll update you on the campaign vis-a-vis Southern California Edison and the way in which Pedro Pizarro, the president and CEO of Edison International, showed up yesterday, in case you haven't heard about it or seen it on our socials. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories. stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
If you're listening here in Southern California, you are aware of this news. We broke it earlier today here in L.A. I was with my colleague Dominique DePrima on her morning show here in L.A., but around the nation. You may not be aware of this, even though you've been tracking this story. So we've been engaged in a campaign here in Southern California against Southern California Edison, sort of tete-a-tete with them because they agreed to appear at a town hall that we had last Thursday in Altadena. We become the station with the show of record. Have died since then in the Altadena area. So 430 plus people have died since then. Some of heartbreak, some of other conditions. But the reverb on what happened on January the 7th continues to happen, and that's sad. So it's not just those 19 precious souls who perished on that particular night. This story is getting worse by the day, not unlike 9/11 in New York City. All the damage and hurt and harm that continue to persist following the actual tragic incident. So we've been into it with Southern California Edison here because they put out this town hall when they agreed initially to appear to talk to the residents of Altadena about this so-called wildfire recovery compensation program, which many consumer advocates have deemed, not even fast, but certainly not fair. They're calling it a fast pay program. It's not fast or fair, according to many of the consumer advocates who've looked at this program in detail, the settlement fund, as have I. So we've been engaged in a campaign called Looking for Pedro, getting Pedro Pizarro's attention, the CEO of Edison International, the company that owns Southern California Edison, to show up and tell us why they pulled out of this town hall, and to invite him on this program, in fact, to be heard here in L.A. and across the country, addressing some questions that everyday people and residents and victims and survivors have about what Edison is doing or not doing, and why this settlement fund isn't fair in the minds of many. We've been pressing him for a number of days. He showed up yesterday. I'll read very quickly his email to me yesterday. Dear Mr. Smiley, thank you for reaching out, getting factual information to your listeners about SCE's Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program is important to us. I am glad you took us up on our team's offer to join KBLA in a forum that is appropriate for all concerned. I'm copying Kathleen Dunleavy so you can coordinate directly on how a representative from Edison and KBLA can collaborate. Looking forward to next steps, Pedro. Now, that letter is obtuse in a lot of ways. It's vague in a lot of ways. Who is the representative from Edison? Is it you, Mr. Pizarro? What do you mean by an appropriate forum for all concerned? That's what the town hall was last week. So there's a lot of questions to be asked here, and I'm going to continue to pursue this. But and there are a number of ways that this conversation can potentially go forward. It could still be a one-on-one conversation. We could do another town hall with SCE's involvement this time around. It could be a conversation with Mr. Pizarro and, say, 12 survivors in a room together, so they can ask him questions directly that we would broadcast over this program. So a number of ways to get at it, but the good news is that when we engage ourselves, we involve ourselves advocacy, I said earlier, is not a spectator sport. Here's more example, more evidence that when black folk engage themselves and involve themselves in the process, when they apply leverage, they can get a response. The letter has come in, and now the work continues as to what this will look like going forward. So trust and believe, I'm going to be on it with Southern California Edison until we can bring you a conversation that involves them, connected to survivors, to address the questions that they have. That's the point. That is the end game. More about this as this story develops. More of Tavis Smiley as we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans